Right guys, welcome to Raysons Exhausts. My name's Ben and today we're going to have a quick lesson about brazing, welding, TIG welding, bronze welding. There's always discussions about it on Facebook. I sometimes join in. Always starts a big thread of comments. People in America saying that's not welding, that's bronze brazing. In England, when we're making exhaust pipes, when you're making push bikes and we're brazing or bronze welding, I think there's two definitions for it, and that's what I'm going to try and show you today. Basically, I've got this behind me, this 1940s Norton, and if I got rid of that bar, you'd be able to see what I'm on about. Let's get rid of that. Got this 1940s Norton, and on that I've been making the exhaust pipe for it and the megaphones for it. I've made a few, and basically they cover all the basics. I've got to do a bit of everything on these megaphones. Got to do a bit of brazing, which I would class as soldering, bronze welding, got a bit of TIG welding to do, and I might have got gas welding, the TIG welding part. The only thing I'm not going to do is do some TIG brazing because there's nothing on it that I can really TIG braze. If I grab the camera, we put it on shaky cam, we'll have a quick look at the bike, show you the megaphone. Then I've got an original one and we've got some photographs, and then we'll get the stuff out on the bar and we'll have some close-ups showing you the difference. There is a difference, there's definitely a difference. If I whip that off there, right, spin you around and we'll go and have a look. Oh no, I got rid of my screen. So this is it, this is the 1940s racing Norton. A Manx into whatever you want to call them, plunger Manx, into Manx, plunger Manx into whatever. There's too many different variations. But yeah, that pipe's right, the megaphone's right on the back there, and that's what we're going to go through today. So this one's finished, and it's got a bit of brazing around here. Then it's got a bit of bronze welding to fix that clasp bolt onto the bottom. And there is also a slight collar there, which I'm going to need to TIG weld round or on that gas weld it round as well, just to show the difference. Because I always get asked, why didn't I do that, or why didn't I do that? Well, there's just different reasons for it. That's what we're copying. That's a photograph off the customer. So that looks exactly the same as what I've just shown you. The little mega there with a strap on it going up. Sandbent pipe. I've also got some more pictures. I'm going to let me get my book out. There's a book over here, underneath here. This is a book all about Manx Nortons. And when we look in here, let's show you some more examples before we have a look at the actual megas. So, not that page. Yeah, that's an older type of the same bike. Wembley Club Racing Team. It says it's a 1937, so it's a 30s Norton. It doesn't have the plunger on the back, it's a rigid frame, but it's using the same mega with a strap brazed on, same sandbent pipe, same engine. That's the same again. Nice little one. Now there is, so I've got all these here. That's a late type Manx mega that I've made, flat-sided. This one is what I call a big mega. So they fitted big megas to these bikes, and then the ones behind me, these ones that I need to finish off, that's a small mega. That one's a late type, so we'll have a look at this one. This is a 53. That's an original one from the Norton factory. So we'll have a look at that. I'll show you some bits on there that they've brazed and gas welded. And well, yeah, we'll have a go at brazing some of these straps on. We're going to TIG weld them collars on, the bronze weld a clasp tube to the back of it. So look back at my book and find some evidence of a big bore one. If I turn page over, you might not be able to see it because it's going to be too small. But that one there has got a really big megaphone on. It's a plunger type bike, so it's the same as this one here, but it's running a big mega. And when I got the drawings out, I made a load of big megas, made 4 of them, and then the customer wants a small mega, like the picture he sent me. You can have either, depending on, I think it's depending on the tune of the engine. You might want to run a big mega or a small mega. So, put that away. That's the Manx Norton book, and then this here, this is a works, straight off of Manx Norton, because my granddad in the 70s actually owned the Manx Norton brand. This has come off an original bike. And this has got a little bit of everything on it. So, if we look there, Them there, they're almost bronze welded, but they're almost brazed as well. Brazing, basically, there's braze underneath that strap. You run it on here, like solder, like if you're soldering a plumbing pipe. You run it on, it runs underneath. So then that's glued down. You can actually grind all that off and that'd still be stuck on. This bit here, nice thick fillet on the front and the back. That's bronze welded. So they've built it up into a fillet. They've not run it underneath. That bit on the end there, the clasp bolt, the only way you can stick that on is to bronze weld it on. This bit round there, not too sure about that. I'll have to get a grinder or a file on it. The end, they've welded a collar on the inside of it. And they welded it or they brazed it. I think they've gas welded that because the end of it's melted away. It's not the perfect way of doing it because you can't grind this off. So there's different reasons. So you grind that off, you grind it weld away. And if you'd have brazed that in, it would have sucked the braze down to about here somewhere and it'd be stuck in. There'd be nothing on shore there and you could grind it off and it'd still stick in place. And then finally, this bit, the cone, will have been seam welded down here somewhere. I think you can see it on inside. There's a line about there somewhere. That's been gas welded up the back and they've done that much of a good job, you can't tell where it is. So they've gas welded it and then they've planished it. And then the polishers, when they've chromed it, they've buffed out the weld completely. And you can't see where that is anymore. But just to show you an example, they're mine. TIG welded up the back. I could have gas welded them. When I first started welding, I would have welded all them up, gas welded them. But then I got into doing a bit of TIG. And TIG's just a little bit easy. You can see there where I've tacked it, tacked it, tacked it, tacked it, tacked it on the end. It's a lot harder to do when you're gas welding because you just burn your fingers, basically. But I can just tack that, pick it up, move it, tack it again, tap it down so the seams come together, tack it again, tack it again, tack it again. I can pretty much have it in my hand while I'm doing it like that. You gas welding it, oh, that's red hot, burning your hand. So that's the only reason why I don't gas weld as much anymore. I still will if it's meant to be gas welded, I'll gas weld it. Or if I've got the gas welder out and it's there, it's set up, then set of bottles, we'll gas weld it. But TIG welder's also there, so it's either in it. I don't think there's much difference. There's not much difference if you, it shows my face again. There's not much difference between a TIG weld and a gas weld really. For what I'm doing, for seam welding up the back, you're just not going to tell. I like to keep everything looking original, everything to be 1940s style. So it should be gas welded, it should be brazed. And I'm like, why are you brazing that when you can just TIG braze it? Well, it needs to be brazed or bronze welded or gas welded or TIG welded. But yeah, TIG welding and gas welding, you can barely tell the difference between it. So I can do it and get away with it and it makes my life a lot easier. It's actually neater as well, so customers often more happy about the end result. What should we do next? Let's have a look. So plan was, yeah, let's just start, I think. We'll get some megas out. Them ones on the bike have been done, haven't they? I've tacked the collar on the end. So really all I need to do is set camera back up on stand here. We'll get you zoomed in. We'll get some goggles on, I think, first. Or should we do TIG welding first? And basically, I'll show you a bit more on the megas because there's reasons why. Someone's still going to say, why didn't you do that at that point? And then get you down here on the bar, zoomed in. Problem's going to be seeing what I can see. I'm making it a short video, it's not short so far. Right, so, what have we got? We'll start with this one. So you see there, let me get a bit of focus on you again. That there, I've already brazed that on. So I've soldered it. There's barely anything there, you can't see it, there's nothing sticking out. These little bits of gold that are sticking up, that's copper. They'll just buff off, that's like paper, less than paper thin, Rizzler thin that. That'll just buff off, when the chroma gets that, it'll just buff all that bit where it's run over. It's just been where I've just been running it in. And then it's got the smoothest of lines around that when it's done, you won't tell that's been welded. It just looks like it's been stuck on with glue. I think that's the best way of describing bronze welding or brazing, the difference between being glue. If you think of it as arrowdite, you'll understand. I'm going to be better off if I take this off for a second. So the next bit, we've got this bit, we're going to TIG weld this collar. I've tacked it on here. And that there, you can't do any bronze on that, to be honest with you. You could bronze it, you could bronze weld that over, you'd have to lay down a load of big beads, and then if you ground it off, there'd be nothing there. There'd be nothing to join that to that. You'd have a paper thin bit of bronze between the gap. so you can't buff it off. You'd have to leave the weld on, but you could braze it on. The other megaphones I've got, the bigger ones, I've made the collar slightly too big when I've worked it out. So with them ones, we're going to have to drop the collar in. So them ones we're going to braze in. So that's one of these. Let me know if you're losing track. Well, you let me know, but you're not going to be here. Basically, right, if you're still looking at the end of that shaky cam, I've got them collars. Watch this. That just slips in the end of there, he says. It's a bit egged, I think. I don't know what you're looking at because I'm looking at the Mega. And it'd be easier if I had swapped hands, but then you're going to be more shaky. You've gone on to left-handed cam. There we go, like that. That's sat in it now. You see there's a little tiny step up in. To get that to join into there nicely, you could TIG weld this. You could TIG weld it perfectly fine, just TIG weld that across, that across, that across kind of thing. But, same thing, unless you get a load of penetration through to the back, if you try grinding that off, it's only joined here on that lip. Whereas if I braze that on, which is like bronze soldering, put a load of flux around here, get that nice and warm, run it down, the braze will drop down the inside to about there possibly. Sometimes you can turn it over, have a look at it, and you'll be able to see the back side of that collar's got a gold ring round it, where the braze has run through. And it's exactly the same as plumbing. If you're putting lead solder on a plumbing pipe, copper pipe, you run it, it drops down through your little junction, your union, whatever that is. Yeah, it just drops down into it. So that'd be brazing. If I filled it, put a bead round it, it'd be bronze welding. And I know we're not joining the two together, so it's not typical welding. But that's how you define the difference between the two. So if you're fillet welding on a frame and you were joining in a corner, that'd be bronze welding. If you're doing this, if you're just using it like glue to stick that in, imagine just putting arrodite in there, sticking it in. Basically, it's sticking it on the inside. You're dropping the bronze down into it. I could give you some better examples, but I can't. So what we'll do is, I'll get TIG weld right. Probably just TIG weld that up. Let's TIG weld that up. And then we'll possibly get the other one out and we'll gas weld the other. Because you can definitely do both on that. Basically, we just need to join them two bits of metal together with a nice big puddle, buff it off afterwards, make sure that the weld goes through to the back. I've put it on this bar so that when it does go through to the back, it doesn't leave a big lump and I can still get the bar through. Still get my pipe through. That's one of the biggest problems. If you weld that off the bar, you'll end up with a load of penetration, you'll end up with a big bump on the back of it. You try putting the pipe in, don't work. I put it back on this bar, hammer it round so it flattens out the penetration. Gas weld, TIG weld. Then we'll do a bit of brazing. On that we can braze that, and that's out of focus. We can braze that and we can braze that. Then they're all going to need a clasp bolt brazing onto the backs of them, which I showed you on the other one, then I showed you on that Manx one over there. So that there, and brazed, bronze welding, that class that a bronze welding, because it's got a big fat chunky weld, sorry about the strap, got a big fat chunky weld there. If you brazed it, you'd be running it underneath, and there'd be basically anything there. It'd only stick where that piece of tube touched that, and there'd just be a minute amount of braze underneath. So it's only good if you're sticking big sections together. So like that there, if you're sticking that strap to that, you just glue it on, don't you? You could say you could TIG weld all. It's just a load of faff, just a load of faff, and it'll never look as neat as brazing it. So like that's a good example there. You can just see the outline of the metal. You're thinking, how's that stuck on there? It's soldered on, but using bronze solder. You could use silver solder. Some pieces I've done on 30s bikes, they've been lead soldered on. Only find that out after you send them to the powder coaters, and they all fall in bits when you put them in the oven. Weren't me. One of my customers sent an oil tank to the powder coaters, had it done, just all fell in bits, all lead just dropped out of it. So yeah, let's get this done. I'll show you the difference. I think you're all going to know the difference now. Like, you're all going to come back and tell me a lot of other stuff, and I'm happy to answer them questions. So let's get that focused in like that. Drag the TIG out, you'll need some gloves. That'd be the other difference. The other difference is you're going to need one of these masks to do the TIG welding, and for everything else, use a set of green goggles. So, like, yeah, it's just a little bit easier. You don't have to put that big clunky mask on. Gas welder don't make as much noise. It's a lot nicer, a lot more chilled out. I say the only thing I'm not going to do on this is TIG bronze, TIG braze. That'd be TIG bronze, I reckon, because the words that I've just said, the theories I've just given you, don't work with TIG welding bronze. Don't worry, just come back into my face, thanks, I'm going to reset it back up. The TIG bronze won't run, just won't run. I've tried it a million times. You can't get it to run down the back because there's no heat down the back of it, so it won't drop into the back of it. So all you can do with a TIG welder when you TIG bronzing is bronze weld it. You can't TIG braze it. They call them TIG brazing rods, but they're TIG bronze welding rods, and they're made of copper anyway, so they're more coppery than the bronze. I know bronze is bronze, in it, but they're more copper than these are bronze, I think. A lot more copper than them TIG ones. Well, that's what I think anyway. Like I say, happy to answer any questions, happy to be corrected. I'm just throwing my spin on it as a vintage exhaust maker. Let's get back down there, let's do some TIG welding. Then we'll set up hot gas bottles and we'll just gas everything else. Let's get it gassed, 1940s style. Right, get that out there. Find some gloves. That's another problem with it. You don't need gloves when you're gas welding. You don't need all this safety gear. You just get the torch out, don't breathe in the fumes. And that's it. So we're going to need a little bit, we're going to need a mild steel rod. We've got one of them. Same for the gas welding, that is a lot harder. Just because it all gets absolutely red hot again. I just don't like it as much. You get hot. You want to? I don't think we'll be able to zoom in any further, maybe. Right, kind of self. See, I'm not the best cameraman, and I just wanted to do a 5-minute video. You know, it's going to be a 20-minute video, but it'll show what to do. Probably start on the back. Always start on the back, I do, just to get yourself going. Yeah, I'm just going to seam weld this together. I bet the gas welder will take longer to do. Basically, because you have to get the metal warm, you have to get that batter warm underneath. But if this don't bother if it's warm, it just melts the top, doesn't it? Also, it's going to look 10 times neater. Just straight up doing that. You try and do a neat weld, and you can't do one. And then if you just flip and do this, like let's just lay one down fast, you always come back neat. Instead of now it's slowing down a bit. Now, if this is going on a race bike, I'd advise to leave them on all the time. That's what Grandad said. If you want it to last a bit longer, don't grind any welds off on a race bike. Just leave all the welds on shore, which means you need to learn how to weld nice, because it's all going to be on shore. But this bike behind me is not a full race bike. It's going to probably be like a parade bike. It's not going to be doing like 6 laps of the Hardman or anything like that. It's probably just going to get it out, fire it up, take it to shows. I don't think it's got a registration plate on it, so it's not going to be on the road. Well, hopefully on this video you'll be able to see along this text. And we'll compare the two. I think if we were TIG brazing this section of it, it'd take a lot longer to TIG braze that than it will to gas braze it. The other thing I'm not showing you on my gas bottles, I've got a gas fluxer, but that's another lesson I think for another day, or another topic for another day. There's probably going to be some people saying, why are you not purging that? You don't need to purge it. You need to purge it with stainless and titanium. Now you don't need to purge mild steel and aluminium, but you need to purge stainless and titanium. So that's that one done. Basically now I've just beat that out a little bit, get it looking nice. That's just took the shrink out the weld. It is definitely all penetrated through. That's the amount of time it took, so that's one collar TIG welded on. We're going to put TIG welder away because I don't think I want to use it again today. That now we're just going to gas weld it old school. So we'll zoom you back out. Get you over there. That's, you see my bottles over there. Can't see my head. Don't know if we'll be able to show you inside of that. To be honest, let's have a look. Might be an half-hour video, this. Yeah, you're never going to see that because my focus is shocking. But yeah, it's just joined on. It's nice and neat. Probably have to put it under light to see it. We'll maybe have a look at them all at the end, eh? We'll just go through processes, then we'll have a look at them all. Get rid of this big helmet. Darth Vader helmet, Stormtrooper shit. Right, now, just green goggles, this. I don't think we're focusing. It's trying to focus in on me. I think we're moving about too much. Green goggles, we're going to need some fluxing paste. That's another problem to add in. Not as many fumes when you TIG welding. You get that glass fluxing stuff out and it's a bit like breathing in soap, I think, breathing in acid. Basically what it is, you're putting that on to clean up the metal. We're not going to need that yet, are we? Because we're going to gas weld that next collar up, just to see what the difference will be. And just to show you that it can be done, you don't really need a TIG welder. The other thing is with a gas welder as well, it flicks on the edge. So like the heat will catch that tin edge. The collar's made out of tubes, it's 1.6 versus 1 mil. And it'll just catch that flipping edge on the cone and it'll try melting it away. When you've got the TIG on, it's a lot steadier. It's just a lot easier to control. Knock it down a bit to see well fit really. And bar underneath, that's going to help take away some of the heat. We'll get your zoom back in. Get that focused on. We're going to be down that end, aren't we? To rod, you normally need a longer rod when you're gas welding. But yeah, turn bottles on. Right, let's see how long this takes. So we've got a light in your pocket. The other bonus of TIG welder is you don't have to do this, you don't have to set it up every time, you just leave it on the number you had it on last time. You can turn it off, turn it back on again. It's exactly the same as where you left it. So I just leave mine on like 20 amps. A little bit more, a little bit less, depending on how thin the metal is, where I'm joining it together, where I'm close to an edge. But yeah, I only have to adjust it a little bit. I'm not used to TIG welding now. I've actually picked up the torch like a TIG welder, so I need to hold it like that. And let's see if I can zoom in a bit more. That's as much as you're getting. I'm going to start up back again because that bit looks like the hardest bit. Goggles on, collar's not getting hot. We're going to have to aim at that first, get some heat into that thick collar. Also this pops and bangs a lot of the time, they spit a lot more, you see that you get like the carbon coming out of it. And this, oh there you go. It actually looked more like an original one. It's not liking that at all. It's going to have to like it though, isn't it? Maybe I'm going to aim the other way. I've not done this in years, you know. Mainly because of that popping and banging where I'm doing it. Ah, so this is already taking longer, isn't it? But now what I'm going to have to do is find a thick sheet to put over this knot. Just in case them pops and bangs get any bloody worse. Right, that's all but paint on that. So all it's done is blown a big massive hole in it. I don't know if you can see that. Now, focus. So what we've decided so far is to join that thick bit to that thin bit. It's a lot easier with TIG. So that bit, welding that seam in the back wouldn't be as hard. But trying to weld that thick collar onto there is a lot harder. And it's mainly just because the two different thicknesses of metal and the fact that I've got it on this bar to stop the penetration. I almost want it the other way around. See, this is what I mean, the TIG was set up, weren't it? I just went on there, laid a bead round, job done. So I'm thinking I want that bar like under metal, a bit less under the cone. Which means we're going to have to readjust. Not the best example this, is it? I could have... Basically, what I'm showing you here is don't bloody flipping gas weld this end, just TIG weld it. But yeah, we're ending up with a big dirty rough weld, like what it would look like on that, on an original Manx Mega. It's nasty. We're better than that these days. We're definitely better than that. Can't believe this is how I used to do these. It's getting a bit of heat into collar now, so it's going a little bit better. The end collar's starting to glow orange, and the megaphone's not. And hopefully, yeah, luckily we started on the back, so all that big dirty rough stuff from before where it was popping and banging is all on the back. Oh, he says, blown a big hole in it. You don't get that as much with TIG. You don't get that at all with TIG. There we go, there's going to be no camera left, is there, soon? This is going to take a lot more whacking. I've stopped MIG welding because of this reason, because MIG welds spark too much as well. And when you've got painted bikes, it just don't happen, does it? You have to remember to put them sheets over bikes. Right, I think that went on right. But yeah, whoa, rough man, rough. Still glowing away. Start throwing about where you can't touch it. And the TIG welding one, I just went like picked it up. That's still hot. Just put this back up there a second. I'm saying nasty, man, nasty. I'm gonna need some. Oh, I've got my light underneath here. Let's see if we can get you looking right in. Can you see that now? It's got a bit of glow on that. No, flipping. Right, guys, video stop then. Nah, I'm gonna have to show you that by hand. Literally, that won't go back on my barn either now because it's got so much crud on inside of it. It also wasn't the cleanest of collars. When I cleaned them, I bought that stuff in off another exhaust place because I couldn't get hold of inch and 7/8. So I just thought I'll go on to one of them internet places. It's coming like silver paint on. I assume that's some some aluminium paint or something. I've had to grind all that off to get them to flipping work. Nightmare. So that's not going to help the popping and farting. I'm going to knock it out. I'm going to knock it out, get it onto that bar, get it spinning on bar, and then we're going to do some serious work. Let's get some brazing bronze welding done. Like I say, that won't even go on there anymore. I have to. Wish I never said I'd do that. We could have finished this video about it. Obviously this week, grind that out, clean that inside. Basically, where them big holes have gone through, I have to fill them back in, and it's dropped further down. Than we would have liked it to do. So there's going to be a big sink mark around it as well, which you see on a lot of vintage megas. That's why I say there won't be anything wrong with it. It'll look like an original one, but I say we're better than that. So it's turning again, so that's an exhaust pipe will go for it that now. Still going to need a bit of work. It's not the prettiest, but it's joined on, it's definitely joined on. Right, let's get into some brazing bronze welding. That's all you're here for, innit? You just want to see some brazing bronze welding. You want to see. That's it. See, I'll get that under light once we're finished with it. It's going to need a bit of buffing off. I'm going to probably go and get it on polisher. I'll tell you what, we won't weld the clasp onto that one. What we're going to do is bronze weld the clasp on. We'll do that onto the TIG welded one because that one's still nice. So that's put a massive skin on it as well. This one's not got a skin on it. That one's still fresh metal on the end. That one's got that out now. See all that flipping dirt. That one's still nice. That one I can braze straight onto that. That one I need to grind the skin off, buff the skin off. Another hassle. That's why you don't gas weld anymore. But apart from it being accurate, that's what we're going to do. So next, we're going to sit this on here. We've got these tubes pre-prepped. They're going to be the clasp bolts. We'll do that after we've done some brazing. Bronze soldering. What we're going to do is get one of these, this big one out here. Let's get that big one out on there. That's got on it, if I can zoom you in again, this is the one where we need to solder on the collar, we need to solder on that band right there. So what I do first, make sure that's tippy tapped all the way down. Which it is. Give that an eye, but I'll probably sort that out afterwards. Basically, I'd probably put one tack on that, put it on the bar, lever it so it is square. Want that nice and square to end, because that's what they are on the drawing. The pipe should be bent to fit, not the collar bent to fit. Flux is here. It's got some nice pink SIF. It's a SIF product, this I think, so it's come straight from the brazing people. SIF bronze, SIF brazing people. So confusing, but basically, yeah, we're just sticking, so just whacking that round there, top and bottom. You don't want too much on because it makes a mess. It's flipping hard to get the to get the glass flux off afterwards. Once it's been heated up and turns into glass. It's a lot like smelting metal, isn't it? This is just used as a cleaning agent really. And then another bit of it round there, so the opposite way. I'm just going to slap it on. Mainly because when you take these to the chrome platers, again, he just dips it in acid and it takes all that glass off, but when we finish with it, it's probably going to look a bit of a mess. Because it's going to get that same black scum on it off the gas torch, and that's why TIG brazing is a little bit better, as in TIG bronze welding. But I can't do neither of it. I can't do any of this with the TIG bronze welding. I'm fair certain of it. It's hard to do a big fillet to join in that tube. And put a bit around that top bit there as well. And it's hard to. It'd be hard to do that because it won't lay it down thin enough. It won't run on. Whereas I'm basically going to tap my rod on there. Run it round, tap it on, run it round, tap it on. That's all them little flicks you can see down the other side of the other one. Is every time I dab the rod in, run it, dab the rod in, run it. It's exactly the same as plumbing soldering, basically. So, don't know if I can get you any further in. Wind you down some, maybe. I know you get all these adjustments in the video, don't you? It's all live, unedited. Let's get that zoomed in, focused in, should say. That's on that. Right. We don't need that this time. What all we're going to need is a thin rod, because I don't want to be putting it on in big chunks. That. And let's see how long this one takes. Move my helmet so I don't want to touch that, but I'm not knowing what I'm doing. We'll do the bottom one first. That bang, we've still got a load of snot on the end of my torch there off. All that backfiring action. Remember kids, don't gas weld if you've got a TIG welder. That bar is hot as well now. You know, that flux drying out, that's just basically the water boiling off and it's leaving behind the flux powder. Again, that mix I've got, the paste, is just powder, mix it with water, paste it on, and then do that. Boil the water off it, leave the paste behind. I'm gonna need a glove to turn it with. But that's the first blob in. I'm just gonna keep running it, run it. I'm going to have to buff one of these up at the end as well, aren't I, to show you what that actually looks like buffed up. That's just a little stick right there. There we go, we'll go. Just a little bit muck on it, I think. The giveaway that you're brazing here is little bubbles come up to the top, and that's when you obviously know that the braze is going down. Exactly. So I'm not a plumber or anything, but I've seen people plumb, and that's what happens on the plumbing, doesn't it? It just goes blum, a big bubble comes up, and all the solder goes down. You're thinking, where the heck did all that solder go? And it just got stuck down halfway already. And I think you'd struggle to do that TIG weld that fast. Even on a rotisserie, rotating positioner thing, you'd struggle to do TIG welding that fast. And it's just nice and neat as well. One of the problems of modern day welding is that this looks a lot neater, and if you've only got a TIG welder, there's no way of being able to achieve this with a TIG welder. I don't think there is anyway. I've got some good soldering mates, some good brazing mates on the internet, and they totally agree. It's just really nice. People say it's not as strong, but they made airplanes out of it, race cars out of it. that Norton behind, which this megaphone's off. The later version, the featherbed, would have had a chrome olive Reynolds tubing frame, all lightweight stuff, all brazed together. That were the same for aeroplanes and for, that's going to mess that collar up. Right, we're doing collar next. I nearly burnt the torch. Can't turn it over with that collar not welded in, can I? So we're just going to tack that on. Tack it on, check it on my bar. Wiggle it up and down. Once it gets in the right place, go for a full loop. That's that. I know it's all going to be hot, so what they say, a left-handed glove or right-handed glove, because I can still torch with that on then. Got a fair bit of sort of, that's when I was showing you the mixture. So that's that braze around the top of it, innit, or the bottom when it's on the bike. Just going to plonk that on there. Just have a bit of a look at it. That were hot, weren't it? I touched the strap. It should look like a bar's running through the middle of it, which it is. So you need to just pull it off gently. Make sure it doesn't move. Put it on there, stick a tack on the other side. I've got a big brazing rod out then, I can do this with a big brazing rod. So these are, them ones I were using before to do the strap were 1mm, and then these are 2mm. You obviously just have to be a bit more careful, it runs in a bit faster, doesn't it? You might get a bit where it runs over the edges, but like I say, you can just buff it off. As soon as you get down to the metal on the cone, you know that you've gone too far. Well, not gone too far, you've gone far enough. You know, so if you cut this open, you definitely see braze on inside of it. And actually, they're hard to wiggle out. See, like some people say, oh, can you just unbraze that, and you try and wiggle that collar out of that thing, and it's hard because the braze is stuck that far down. I mean, it's like having a ton of arrowdite on there. Epoxy resin. I don't know if they call arrowdite everywhere in the world. Well, I don't know if this video will go any further in the world. That's being hopeful, isn't it? Might just pretend you watch it. The way my YouTube channel's been going, I'd say 200 of you is going to watch it. And that might be just 200 of you skipping through it all. That, because that collar was thicker, took as long as doing the bonded, didn't it? Because the bond was thin. So that slipped back over. Let's get one of them skin rods out. And we'll start again here. And we'll just go run round this now. Same again, this will be like bronze soldering, brazing, and then we'll get onto the end collar then. I'll do it all on this one, and we'll bronze weld the clasp bolt on, and then basically we're showing it everything that I could do on one of these. I've recently done a strap like this that was just a little bracket to hold on. Similar, so same strap as what I've shown you on that original Manx Mega, the chrome one. I said that's somewhere between brazing and bronze welding, because they basically brazed it on to start off with and then built the braze up to form a fillet, like a bronze weld then. I mean, you can replicate that with a TIG, definitely. I did some Royal Enfield ones recently, and that's exactly how I did it, because I wanted the welds on to be on shore, so then I knew that you could make them look like a really nice TIG weld. Just nice little beads. If I do it with a TIG welder, you can do the same with this. You can leave the nice beads like they do on the motorbike frames. It's just a little bit harder. You can actually bead this. They're big beads, but you can like just keep whipping it round and it looks really nice. But then you take it to the chrome as he buffs it all off, so there's just little point in doing it. think that did nearly take as long as they're doing the bottom collar. I'm 3/4 of the way around now. I think when you're TIG welding, you're basically going 1, 2, 3, stick a blob in, 1, 2, 3, stick a blob in, or 1, 2, stick a blob in, 1, 2, stick a blob in, 1, 2, stick. Now this, I'm just sticking a blob in and then going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and sticking another blob in. This big weight between each blob, you just get it to run on, and then when not bubbles come up. That's it, done. Spin it round, that was still nice and neat, especially with that thinner rod. What I'll do now is run my bar through here, if you can see that, run my bar through that, get me maul grips out. We can definitely get that bite back on shore. You're going to run out of battery, so it's going to be a perfect time. That's what it's going to be made for. Spin that round, it's absolutely red hot. We want the clasp bolt on the bottom, on that end. So, don't know what you can see. I think you can see that, can't you? You can see that. I'm going to zoom in again. Everything's a bit metally on metally in it, so a bit hard to see. Oh, sorry. There-ish. Get one of these clasp bolts out, everything's absolutely red hot. Look underneath it to make sure that strap's on the bottom, pointing downwards. Get this on the top, make sure that's bang on in the middle. Give this a bit of a tighten. Fiddler. Video ends now, you're going to be gutted, aren't you? Yeah, it's not bad, it's slightly off the middle, but it'll do, it'll do. Right, so this is going to be bronze welded, because we're just going to build a big fillet up either side of it. Same thing, get a load of paste on, get that round there. If anybody else wants to say what the different terms are, I'm quite happy to watch a video. There's barely any videos on brazing, I don't think. When I first started, I trawled the internet, should say, looking for videos of gas fluxing, and they weren't on. Whereas now gas fluxing has come back a bit. You can buy the gas fluxers. I've got an old made one on the back there. It's one that Dad made for making motorbike, to make a race frame. He wanted a race frame for his race bike. He wanted the lightweight tube. He probably didn't have a TIG welder, so he just built himself a gas fluxing bottle. Whereas there's a lot of people using the proper ones, a proper gas fluxer these days. Soldurer's one, I think. No, actually, we're going to say that John Hand, that makes the CCM frames and the Rickman frames, thought he might use one, but I've actually spoke to them and the people at Wasp and stuff, and they're using exactly the same rods as I'm using here, the Type 1s and the Sif Flux. So this is exactly the same as your CCM's been made, or your Rickman frame. I'd show you what that looks like, but I've not sussed out how to put a... I need to buy a dark lens for my camera, I think. That'd probably be a good buy. But yeah, chunky fillet. You see how many times I had to put the rod in 6 times just for... Well, that's an inch long, that piece of tube. Whereas I only put my rod in 6 times to do all that band. Well, this is working really nice because these two metals are the same thickness. So they both warm up at the same time. It bridges so easily, does the flux. I mean, so does the braze, brass. I've tried doing that with TIG welding and it's nearly impossible. I'd run out of flux and I'll run out of brazing rods one week, and I tried to TIG weld it top to bottom because I thought they were doing alright with me TIG welding, and it just doesn't work. It'll just melt an hole through the tube, that clasp tube, and this is, like I'm saying, this is how they were done. 100%. This is like same, if you watch any pushback builders, they braze this on, bronze weld it on. And silver solder it on as well. Silver solders are different. Kettle of fish in it. Well, it's not exactly the same, but I think the terminology is, I don't think you can silver weld. You just silver solder it all, but there is a way of filleting it. I would think it does run a bit. It runs a bit too easy, does silver. And that'd be the same with lead. Lead runs quite quick, doesn't it? But again, you still see on TikTok, on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, you see people doing some really nice beads with that lead working. And the only thing I've not got now is a bucket to dip that in. I'm going to dip it, and then it's ready to go. I can pick it up and show you. But what we'll do is just neatening it a little bit there. That's that done. All it wants now is slotting. Just cut it through with grinder there with a 3mm disc. What I'm going to do now is get that set to a nice zoom out focusy bit. That's us done. That's some different types of welding. If I pull it off the stand, because your battery's running out, it don't last half an hour, is that battery, and this video's definitely half an hour long. We'll just give you a bit of a view. So you see on that end the difference there. You can still see the step up in that, can't you? You can still see the step down from that piece of metal to that piece of metal. That, like I say, just paper thin, just where it's run along on the top as the copper. You just run that under a buffer, you run that under a wire wheel and it'll come off. And then you'd just be left with a braze that's actually sat into the gap, and it's just the world's tiniest fillet. That's like a 1mm fillet. It's definitely a 1mm fillet in it because that's 1mm thick metal. So you've got a 1mm fillet in there. Really hard to achieve with a TIG welder. Then round that collar there, the clasp bolt. What have you got there? Well, that's a 6mm, 8mm fillet there. So that's definitely bronze welding, and that is brazing. That's what I'd say anyway. And then that there, all brazed on. You can still see the step in it. You see it step there, can't you? Where it's stepping up from one metal to the next metal. And you can see, same again, just a nice little 1mm fillet in there. And I think you can only do that by soldering it, bronze soldering it on. Basically, like I said before, there's a point, say there, a little bit in, where that, so it's probably this, you see how that's run out this way because of the heat on the metal. That piece that's there is underneath there. So all this bronze that's here, the fillet's there for it, it's only 1mm. That section of it is run underneath there as well, so then you've got the same on this side and that's run underneath there. There's only a little bit in the middle there that's not actually got bronze underneath it, so that's glued on. So you can whip that off, the polisher can go absolutely mental on that, and he will never ever unstick that. Even if I warmed it up, it'd be impossible to unstick that. I think there's that much surface area contact now, and that's basically why you're brazing and bronzing. It's just a better surface area. Next time I do that, say we do it with a gas fluxer or something, I'll try and draw it out on a piece of paper, or we try and split this video up into two. Should we do it now? Well, we've got a touch of battery left. It's hard to explain. I think the people that will know that, yeah, that basically when that's sucking underneath, you're getting a miles bigger surface area of glue. You just imagine it like glue. You wouldn't imagine to do a butt weld where you're just joining one piece of metal to the next piece of metal. You wouldn't imagine for that piece of metal in the middle to stick together with glue. You'd have to bridge the two across. You'd get your aerodite with your little spatula and you'd spread it out nice and thick everywhere to make a patch, or you'd wrap tape around it or whatever, wouldn't you? Just to hold it in place so that you're joining one side to the other side like a big bridge across, and that's going to hold the two pieces together. You couldn't put a tiny little bit of glue in the middle because you just snap off. There's no contact area. Soldering's maximum contact area. I'd say brazing's just bronze soldering. TIG welding's good if you can get the penetration in and you've joined the two metals together and it's almost one piece of metal, but it'll crack because there's stresses in it, heat stresses. That Gas welding, probably be better because it's not as hot. It would definitely wider. That'll cool down by now, won't it? Let's try and get that out. It were rough. Right, let's show you the difference between them and cool down. We won't show you that. Don't get my pen and paper out. I'm going to get a new blackboard out one day and we'll have a look on that. But I can definitely stick you them two underneath there. Right, let's spin them round. This can be your closing shot. That's what we've got there. As you can see, that one looks like it's got a neat weld on it. That one looks like I've had to hammer the shit out of it. Nice little cheeky bead. I say I didn't think about what I was doing. I just got the TIG welder out, press go, it left a bead. This thing, that's the top side with the bracket sticking up over there, and that's the outside there. So we're happy that that bit doesn't look that bad. But the bit where it was popping apart and where we're trying to set it up and get the collar warm, oof, nearly weren't ready to sell that then, were we? It's just crusty. Look how much, like, that weld went all over the show there. And it's just rough in it, so that's going to take me a lot more time now to sort that out. I'm going to have to grind that, blend it, whatever. That one will just take a little quick lick over with grinder and disappear. Because I've got it to drop in the perfect amount, temperature all controlled. Just take a little tiny bit, I've hammered it flat, so then it'll just take a little buff over with grinding. That'll disappear completely. This is going to take a bit of grinding back, might want a little bit more filling in it. Just a nightmare. Like I say, I couldn't get it onto the bar, so I had to do a bit more work on it then. Definitely stick to TIG welding then. I'm going to sack off gas welding ever. I'm not getting that back out. I'm rusty as anyway. I say there's no way that you could TIG bronze it, but I'll try and find. Oh, let's make this video a little bit longer again. These are the ones. So they were a video. I put a video up on my Facebook. Let me spin camera around for you. Right, this could be closing shot. So that there. You see, I wanted to make it look nice and neat. I could have brazed that. I soldered it on. And you would have still seen the edge of the metal there, you've seen a step down. But instead, I just wanted to make a little bit of a showpiece out of it. So we TIG brazed round that. And then I've TIG brazed it round the back there, and it's just left a nice little bead. When you buff it up, it'll look really nice. When you've chromed it. So it's just got the little, it's hard to see, but it's got the dab, 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 dab. And it'll just look a little bit more expensive, I think, a little bit more nicer. It's going onto a new Enfield, so they're not going to bother to be about traditional looking stuff. That's a full pipe there for an Enfield. That's the little bracket on it. It's going to be ridden around London somewhere, somewhere abroad. They're not bothered about originality. Whereas this, the Manx Norton, there's quite a lot of people that want them to look original. These bikes that go into museums, into collections, passed off as originals, they want that to look original. So that's why we braze it. That's why we gas welding it. Not gas welding it anymore. That's basically why I'm brazing it, bronze welding it. Thanks for watching. I'll speak to you again soon.